disclaiming the disclaimer, or whatever you say. I hope everybody is now warm and dry after the weather we have. And for those who don't know too much about Valirx yet, we say that we are clinical stage life science company, and we are focusing on delivering cancer therapeutics and diagnostics for personalized medicine. Personalized medicine means the industry, the pharmaceutical industry and biotech industry has moved from what I call sledgehammer approach, which is everything works for everybody, to more personalized approach where we can say this approach of therapeutics or drug will work for you or will not. And we can also then monitor whether the therapeutic approach is effective. We have an oncology portfolio of innovative technologies and products from worldwide leading institutions. Our technologies are licensed from Imperial College and Cancer Research UK and a couple of others as well. We have therapeutics, as I said, biomarkers and companion diagnostics. Valirx drug candidate compounds are now progressively moved into through clinical phases. We are now with UCLH, University College Hospital. Our first compound, lead compound, is in now clinical trials. And what is very important to know if you want to invest in pharmaceutical companies or biotech companies is that about 75% of the compounds, you have to excuse me, I have a bit of cold. But anyway, 75% of the compounds which are now in clinical trials come from biotech companies. And this is because, as we all know, the big pharmaceutical companies have shut down their early stage, well, their research programs and their early stage clinical programs as well. And now, as we all know, you have probably seen within the last couple of months anyway, they are now out there in a biotech supermarket with the shopping trolleys saying, hold on a second, we need to fill our pipelines. I would like to see that, I would like to see that, I would like to see that. Can we have a bit of that, and bit of that? And what's your price? Well, then we can talk about the price. Our business model is fairly simple. We license in technologies or early stage products from leading institutions, as I said, Imperial College, Cancer Research UK. We then develop them to what we call stage 2 clinical phase, at which stage, hopefully, the pharmaceutical companies get very interested, or they do get interested actually, and then we license them or we partner them or whichever way you want to slice and dice your agreement, and then we do it again. Our key achievements for the last year have been what you call VAL 201, which is now in clinical trial for 1/2 dose escalation study. What that means is that when we had a first discussion with MHRA, which is a regulatory body for approving these kind of clinical studies, we went to say, okay, phase 1. They said, okay, your toxicology profile, which means it's going to be safe and well tolerated, looks so good that forget about healthy volunteers to start with, go directly to the patients and have dose escalation, which means going to the dose that is going to be beneficial for the patients as soon as you can. So that's what we are doing at the moment. So these trials are now established and underway with University College Hospital, which is one of the best places to do these kind of trials in Europe, if not in the world. We have shown safety, tolerability, and early potential indication for efficacy as well. We started with prostate cancer patients. However, we have permission to go into other hormone-induced cancers and, quite interestingly, for endometriosis as well. Hormone-induced cancers include prostate cancer, breast cancer, ovarian cancer, and in this case, quite interestingly, endometriosis as well, because endometriosis is induced with the same, what I call, and this is a science part, signal transduction pathway and the other hormone-induced cancers as well. We also have biomarker development. Biomarkers are little bits and pieces which actually tell you which patient population is going to respond to your treatment and how you then monitor whether your treatment works or not. We also have what you call VAL 401 for lung cancer going into clinical trials. VAL 101, which is for what I call rebellious genes, and I will explain it a bit later, is now with Eurostar's programs. Eurostars is one of the most prestigious grants in Europe that you can get. You usually have about 500 applicants going to the second phase. You get 10 grants in a year, and we have now got 2. Oops. Okay. I explained the product pipeline briefly. GeneICE is the rebellious gene molecule shutting down mechanism, licensed from Imperial College. This technology allows us to develop molecules which find and bind what I call rebellious genes. Every single cell in our body have the same set of genes. Why does brain cell want to be brainy and not muscling about like muscle cells do? Because gene regulation. When this goes wrong, we have all sorts of problems. Oncological problems, neurological problems, say Alzheimer's, for example, inflammatory problems. And this kind of technology allows us to develop molecules that attack these rebellious genes, that work when they shouldn't be working or where they shouldn't be working. And our lead compound is now in preclinical phase with Eurostar's program. VAL 201, which is now in clinical studies for prostate cancer to start with, is working, that we have very good results for safety, tolerability, and early potential efficacy as well. You can stop tumor growing. And as I said before, this particular compound has a potential for breast cancer, ovarian cancer, and endometriosis. We have results for preclinical studies for all these indications. I mentioned about biomarkers. And biomarkers are tools, diagnostics tools, that you can use with your therapeutic approach to show that you can actually use your therapeutics for a particular person, or this therapeutic approach actually works. Science bit. This is VAL 201, which is now in clinical trials. And the challenge always is that therapeutics need to extend the patient life and maybe sometimes more importantly, make their life better if you have a problem, unfortunately. And these days we know that, for example, prostate cancer is increasing because men, fortunately, live longer. And when you are a male of the species, you will get a prostate problem at some point of your life, most likely. And therefore, we need better better treatments. And here you can see if you treat, this is preclinical study, and if you treat the oncology subjects with our compound, we stop the tumor from growing. If you give them placebo, the tumors grow very happily. So I think the prostate cancer market alone is at the moment about 7 billion. So we are not restricted by the market size. And I always think it would be very, very rude not to try to get some of the market if you are a company. Importantly, also, is that when you have a prostate cancer, quite often, as I always say, prostate cancer cells are promiscuous. They want to leave their home and go someplace else. It's called metastatic growth. So what happens is that your primary tumor, or cells from your primary tumor, start to go other places. And in prostate cancer cases, quite often, unfortunately, they go into your bones and start living in your bones, and that's not good news for the patient. We've shown that our compound, which is effective in prostate cancer, also reduces metastatic growth. Well, actually, we can reduce the cells going to other places. And we've shown that we can reduce that at least 50%, which is good news for the patient as well. VAL 401 for lung cancer has shown a very promising result as well. This is very interesting compound because it's reprofiled drug. It's been in the market for other indications for about 20 years. But when you put that in another format, it goes to lung cancer cells. And we have shown that when you administer the drug in a reformatted form, the lung cancer cells, the cancer stops growing. However, again, if you give placebo, the cells or cancer cells keep growing. And this is very important because lung cancer is one of the most difficult cancers to treat at the moment anyway. And our solution is to deliver this drug. And we have very good results. Then we get to rebellious genes. As I said, rebellious genes are genes that work when they shouldn't be working. As I said, when your brain cell wants to be brainy and your muscle cell wants to muscle around, you have to have different genes working because every single cell has the same set of genes. When this goes wrong, you have a problem. And quite most of the cancers, for example, are of genetic origin. Traditionally, when you have conventional drug discovery approach, you start from G, you go all the way there. This kind of approach can bypass some, I wouldn't say all of these, but some of these we have shown, and go directly to the therapeutic approach. And we have shown in our preclinical studies that our lead compound, when you administer the compound to the cancer model, again, can actually shut down the gene that is harmful in this case. And this technology has been there. I mentioned about biomarkers. Biomarkers are very important these days for personalized medicine. They can be used for actually showing whether therapeutic approach can be used in your particular case, or whether this therapeutic approach actually works. We know that usually only 30% of the patient population is responding to any particular drug. A very good example is Herceptin, which is only, that is a breast cancer drug, only works for 25% of the population. Why is that? Because they have 25% of the breast cancer population have a particular receptor, and you have to be able to monitor whether you have that receptor or not, because if you don't, it doesn't work. If you do, then you can try Herceptin, whether it works then or not remains to be seen. We recently acquired a technology which allows us to find those kind of biomarkers or genetic biomarkers in a very cheap and effective way. And as you can see, the traditional ones are relatively expensive and they take a long time. Yeah. Whereas this new technology we acquired can do this in a very effective and cheap way. So we are using that technology for our programs, but it's a very good licensing opportunity as well, and we already have, I think, 3 or 4 programs ongoing to show that a value chain for a company like ourselves is from discovery to preclinical, clinical, and marketing. Yes, academia and pharma companies. Well, pharma companies are notoriously, or have been notoriously, bad talking to academia. Academia are not very good at talking to pharma companies either. So, biotech companies are here in between. And industry is now relatively mature. So we know what we're doing, and we do it well. We take things from academia, we develop them, and then work with pharma companies. And we are quite good at doing it now, as I said. Our partners are Cancer Research UK, Imperial College, University College Hospital. Now we are doing clinical trials with them. I'm not going to try to... Yeah. A German one, yes. Good. We are a leader of Eurostar's consortium. As I said, we got the first grant now 5 years, now time goes so fast. 5 years ago, then we completed the first one successfully and got the second grant. So that's good. That's for the rebellious genes. Institut Paul Calmets is one of the leading institutes in France for oncology research. Helsinki and all universities where the track the biomarker technology comes from. And we have JV with a company called Tangent to do the lung cancer development, or lung cancer product development. Board of directors. You can go to our website and have a look, but we have all the relevant experiences for all sorts of things. Jerry Desley, who's a financial officer, doesn't know anything about biology, but he's very good finance director, etc., etc. But you can go to the website and have a look if you. So as a summary, I'll just say that we are the kind of outsourcing business model, because when you are in preclinical studies and clinical studies, you can't do them on your backyard, because you have to do them with the major institutes. And we have a growing pipeline, to address an expanding market with high unmet medical needs. So I talked about VAL 201, which is now in clinical studies with University College Hospital, and VAL 401, which is now going to later stage clinical study. GeneICE for rebellious genes, and a biomarker studies. Our contact details are here, so please do contact us. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Satu. Anybody got any questions at all? Any hands going up? No? No questions? Gentleman there.
Good evening, Satu. If you continue with the clinical programs as described for 401 and 201, what will be your funding requirements for the next 12 months, please?
Yes, that is a very good question, which I can't really comment because my nomad will get a heart attack. However, we all know how these things are funded, how much they need. And there are several strategic options, of course, to fund clinical trials. Personally, I think it's very important that we continue these trials, especially when they look very promising. But
Is that a question to ask you outside the room?
yes, that's a question to ask outside.
Okay, another question specific to VAL 401. When are you planning to actually put the clinical trial application in, and when would you anticipate that the clinical trial will start? And which regulatory agency will you be using to get the CTA through, please?
Yes. As you know, and we have announced this, we've been talking to MHRA, how long regulators take to actually give you an answer is always beyond my understanding. However, it looks very promising, but I can't give you the exact date because it's really up to the regulators.
Any other questions?
But as you know, the application is in.
One more. That's fine.
Okay. A big quiz.
Satu, on the endometriosis opportunity, there doesn't seem to be anybody else doing any work in that particular area. I wonder if you have quantified the opportunity, and if it's large, would it not be better to go for a very large slice of a small but worth having cake rather than a very small slice of the cancer pie?
Endometriosis is very interesting opportunity because when we have shown, again, this is up to regulators, of course, at the end of the day to decide, but we have shown that our compound is safe, it's well tolerated, and we can use that safety tolerability data if we want to go to endometriosis trial, say, maybe ourselves or with a partner. It's very lucrative opportunity because endometriosis is one of the worst health problems for females under 40 in developed world. And I think the commercial applications are like, the market is about 2 billion at the moment, and you don't have a good treatment for endometriosis at the moment. So
I've got a question. Can you go back 2 slides, Graham, to your summary? It's not a trick question, don't worry. I think Graham might have to take you back. Just really trying to paint a picture of 2016. This time next year, where will you be with the sort of trials of the various products? So on 201, 401, and the other, where do you see the business in a year's time?
201, hopefully, would have completed the dose escalation study, and we will have some, well, more efficacy data. We are talking about biology, so you can't say this is going to happen, this is going to happen, because otherwise we wouldn't be doing trials.
There's no guarantees, is there?
Unfortunately not, as here knows as well. 401 will start clinical trials next year. Forget about the Christmas time. Everybody's going hibernation like my cats. And GeneICE will continue with preclinical trials, and when we get the good results from preclinical trials, we will have a more clear understanding where we are going to take that. And biomarkers will just give us tools to diagnose what we are doing, and also we will get some revenues from our biomarker approaches as a diagnostic business. So that's where we're going to be.
So do you think during the year you'll bring any partners into any of these?
Well, as you know, we opened a US office a month ago, and we are talking to people there as well. And they are, as you know, US is one of the biggest markets after Europe, of course, for pharmaceutical companies, and we are talking to people there as well.
So you hope that there's some US reaction to the
Well,
product pipeline?
if you have cancer treatment that works, the likelihood of pharmaceutical companies sniffing around is quite high. As we all know, it's not a big secret.
Okay. Any questions?
So that's what we're doing.
Anybody on the floor? No? Thank you very much, Satu. Thank you.
Thank you.